Well, hello everyone. So we are at December 19th, and in the O antiphons, this day is dedicated to the phrase O radix Jesse, O root of Jesse. I'm going to read the passage in the Hebrew text where that comes from. Before I do, I'd like to give a little bit of a caveat. You'll notice when you attend things that I do that I always refer to what popularly in the Bible is called the Old Testament. I actually refer to it as the Hebrew inspired text. The reason I do that is because in the very powerful Judaic culture, they don't view their inspired texts as old, as something in the past. In fact, even the way that they work with their inspired text is even more dynamic than Christians do. So the Christian Bible, oftentimes, is, in my Catholic seminary training, there was the deposit of faith and the development of doctrine. The deposit of faith is in the person of Jesus Christ. And then the canonical expression of that is the Bible. There are other iterations that are the deposit of faith, that is the seed and the ground of the entire faith. But it's the person of Jesus Christ over and above anything else. The development of doctrine is how over the years the understanding and the revelation takes place within humanity. And I think that that is true in all traditions. There's an awakening process individually and collectively from anything that's the inspiration of what our life is about, what an eternal life force is about, what is outside of this three-dimensional world as well. However, in the Bible, early on when that was developed as a canonical text, largely in the 300s, there were many, many books from the Hebrew scriptures that were included in the Bible, that were included as part of the experience of Jesus Christ. And part of it is the prophetic nature of those texts that are considered to be foreshadowings of the experience of Jesus. Other parts are illuminations of the Spirit in the many ages that led up to the experience of Jesus. But we get in the Bible these words called Old Testament and New Testament because, as Jesus said, and as the experience of Jesus showed forth, Jesus brings something new. So that's quite understandable if we put it in that context. However, in the larger scope of things, if we hold that every path is a path that is ordained by God, is a path that is leading towards true awakening and healing and transformation, then every tradition is new. And the Judaic tradition and all of its expressions, including the Kabbalah, and I won't go into all of the names because this isn't a class on that. They're all relevant and inspired right here and right now. Nothing in them is old. So I don't like calling what's in the Bible called the Old Testament. I don't like using that word because it's kind of saying, well, the Judaic experience of God is old in the Christian perspective. And as somebody that is maybe doesn't fit within the Christ parameters of many traditions, as someone being deeply imbued with and moved by the Christ experience, I don't see any inspired text as old. So when you say Hebrew texts, a lot of times I'm drawing upon what's in the Bible. My seminary studied those texts, but there are many more texts that are not in the Bible that are Hebrew texts. And the way they enter into their understanding of God, they actually have an ever-evolving body of inspired texts. Nothing is static. There is the Torah that is kind of a concrete 5 set of books. that remains in a way immovable. But there is also a body of revelation that is considered just as inspired today. So whereas Christians aren't adding new books to the Bible based on present day interpretations, Judaism looks at inspiration a little bit differently than we do. So that's a fun little snapshot into why I always use the word Hebrew text. So I'm taking a passage that's a very powerful prophetic book of Isaiah. And today's passage, O Root of Jesse, comes from Isaiah chapter 11. And I want to read it for you as it sets the stage for our powerful meditation practice we're going to do today. A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From these roots, a branch, capital B, will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and of understanding, the Spirit of counsel and of might, the Spirit of knowledge and of fear of the Lord. And this branch will delight in the fear of the Lord. He will not judge by what he sees with his eyes, or decide by what he hears with his ears, but with righteousness he will judge the needy. With justice he will give decisions. He will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth. With the breath of his lips he will slay the wicked. Righteousness will be his belt, and faithfulness the sash around his waist. The wolf will live with the lamb. The leopard will lie down with the goat. The calf and the lion and the yearling together, and the little child will lead them. The cow will feed with the bear. Their young will lie down together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. The infant will play near the cobra's den, and the young child will put its hand into the viper's nest. They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. That's half of that chapter 11. And again, looking at this, trying to move beyond the anthropocentric bias that's there, we have a very rich revelation of the divine that we are called to live in what? In peace and harmony. And that the way to get there is to tap into the root. So one of the things that I love about this O antiphon is it bridges to me the physical and the spiritual. Because let's speak about it just in terms of this being a prophecy of Jesus. So it's said that Jesus is born in form and is part of an actual lineage that goes back and has generations in form going back and back and back. And at the same time is the embodiment of what? Of the entire wisdom of the divine, in such a way that that presence will strike the earth, will move beyond the superficiality that we tend to get caught up in, will also slay the wicked, will be like Kali energy to eliminate the pain and the division that leads towards pain, more suffering in the world. That's what I would call wicked. And that part of the fruit of this realization is that divisions will finally dissolve. I think what I am finding in many Americans is a desire for peace and harmony. A desire to touch in on really how much we are all one. And we are still incredibly divided in how we're going about it. More than ever. I shouldn't say more than ever, just as ever. We're divided in how we go about it. And in this passage, in this O antiphon, we're given a glimpse of the way. And what does Jesus say? I am the way, the truth, and the life. Not as an exclusive way, but as a pointing inward again and again. In this time of winter where we're meant to look inward, pointing inward, how are we the way, the truth, and the life? How can we open up to our lineage, our roots of divinity in such a way that our mouth strikes the earth and brings about justice, in a way that we are capable of slaying the wickedness within ourselves and our world, and that we become an instrument, what? Of peace and of harmony. One of the movements that I have seen grow in the past decade is the healing of collective trauma. And this O antiphon gives us a need to do that, to strike at the root of the divinity so that we can heal the trauma that exists in humanity collectively. And that's what our meditation practice is going to be today. We are going to tap into the root to open up to all collective trauma that is contained. I'm going to say ancestral healing. However, I prefer to approach this as a past, present, and future. So even though there is collective trauma in the ancestral lineages, our personal one and collective ones, and history shows us this over and over again, right? It is also contained past, present, and future. So that's going to be our practice today. We're going to use the breath. We're going to get into the base root chakra to open ourselves up energetically. And then we're going to do a guided experience that blessing may first arise within us and second flow from us. Not because we're God, but because we're tapping into the divinity of our nature. Oradix Yese. All right, so I invite you to close your eyes. And in this short, brief period where the eyes closed, notice where you went. Did you stay present? Did you find yourself reflecting upon, O root of Jesse? Did you move away in your mind towards other topics? Let's start by allowing all of what we are to be here. Our minds run as problem solvers and reflectors. And that can be, we can allow that to be. Our hearts carry so much. And now bring your focus to your breath. Notice what the breath is like today. Are you breathing deep and long and big? Are you breathing shallow? Just notice the breath. And now, if you can, bring your focus to the base of your spine. We're going into the root chakra, the base chakra, and bring the breath there. So what that means is as you sink your focus down to the base, when you inhale, keep the mind and focus at the base and inhale from that point. So stay present to that point and then let the whole body expand outward on the inhale from that point. And then when you exhale, bring the body back to that point. So we're inhaling out from that point. You can imagine that there's a white ball of light there if you want. You can come into contact with the root chakra, whatever you need to do. And now, sense or imagine as you inhale and exhale that from the base, you're inhaling up the spine, all the way to the crown of the head. You can draw in your experience of the energy channels. You can draw in your experience of the pineal gland. We've done both of those. But pull that inhale up the spine and pull the exhale back down to the root. Let's do this 3 more times. Up and down. And up and down. One more time. Up and down. And now keeping the focus on the base and the breath. Imagine or sense or even send an opening to the root chakra so that it opens like this vortex, this cyclone of energy straight downward. Let it open, knowing that you're in a safe space. We are protected and surrounded. You're not opening to anything that will be hurtful. Open that root chakra downward. Imagine the cyclone of light getting bigger and bigger, and this energy moving downward. And as you breathe, let it pulse downward deeper and deeper and deeper, moving deep into the earth, deep into all creation. The center of the earth does not need to be the final point. It can be, but it doesn't need to be. It could be the galaxy, the universe, the all creation. And now, having moved this energy up, downward, opening up your own root, become aware wherever you're sitting that you exist in space, that there is a spaciousness with which you are living. It's not as concrete as you think. You can imagine yourself in space. You can imagine that everything is fluid. You can come into contact with the fluidity. And in this space that we might call Akasha is all past, present, and future. You're opening yourself beyond your story as much as you can. And now we're inviting in all ancestral lineages to gather behind your back, wherever you're sitting. They are all appearing, making themselves known and present behind you. You standing at the front or sitting at the front. All those behind you, all ancestral lineages, some you know, perhaps in your family line, some you do not. But all exist and have existed. And all is held in divine embrace. The divine root that connects us is able to accomplish peace and harmony. Place your left hand somewhere on your body that you want to connect with that peace and harmony within. The heart is an obvious choice, but it could be anywhere. It could be your head, your hand, your knee. For within you pulses the fullness of peace and harmony. With the left hand, we are connecting to it. And very slowly, in your mind's eye, turn in spirit to face all those that are behind you. Notice if you recognize perhaps the one closest to you is a relative that has passed, or a partner, or some loved one that's part of your lineage. And face the myriads that are there. And when you are ready, take the left hand that has been palm facing your body, touching on the divinity, and move the hand and open it in blessing. And allow blessing to go forward from you to all that you stand before. Allow the blessing to surge within you and move outward to all the ancient lineages, all ancestors. Though they may not exist in form now, they did, which means that their energy still exists in our cosmos. We move into the silence for a moment. And now notice that as the wave of blessing has gone out from you to the furthest reaches of what you can see, notice that those furthest reaches, a light is moving through the masses like a wave of golden white blessing and energy, and it's slowly coming towards you. For this root exists in every human being. And as it comes closer and closer, open yourself to receive the blessing. And as you receive the blessing, let your hand move back to wherever it was on your body. Heart, mind, stomach, knee, other hand. And seal it by accepting it for yourself and on behalf of all our humanity. To bring our experience to a close, move your hands once again in the form of prayer in front of the heart. And when you are ready, open your eyes with Namaste. Namaste, my friends.